Alright everyone, link in the description. Trump has decided that polling that is being reported on by the legacy media is unfair, which I'm sympathetic towards him on this. I happen to actually agree with that assessment. They've been cherry-picking polls now for months, where they take in any given round of polling, any like week or two of polling, they take whichever poll shows him with the lowest approval. It doesn't matter which firm it is, Quinnipiac, Gallup, a Fox News poll, a CNN poll, something like that. And then they slap it on there as though it was objective because 90% of the population doesn't know how to use an aggregate. There's a reason why so many people are so woefully uninformed about actual polling numbers. This happened during the election. This includes pundits. This includes people who should know better. They got like a master's degree in journalism. They still don't know how to aggregate things or look at a sampling methodology. They still don't know how to do this. They still don't understand that a lot of these polling firms skew their results in accordance with prior data that may no longer be anything close to in effect. And so Rasmussen comes out, says, no, Trump's approval is about 50%. It's actually decent. And he tweets out, oh, look, Rasmussen, one of the most accurate polling firms in the last election, says my approval's 50%, better than Obama's late-stage numbers, which is also true. Obama's low was about, I think, 37 or thereabouts, which is, it's fairly low. I actually expected him to go further down. Then partisanship came back and sort of buoyed him into the mid-40s. If Trump is actually at 50, that's not bad considering the constant browbeating that he and his fans get. It might even be higher, and hear me out here. Trump's approval could be upwards of 52 or 53%. It could actually be pretty damn good. But you're not going to know that because there are a lot of people, this obviously happened during the election, who simply aren't willing to admit that they still support him. Because even though they have no real problem with anything he's done, what do they see on TV every single day if they pay attention to cable news? And this is unfortunately still a sizable minority of the population. What do they see? Trump evil, Trump ineffective, Trump dumb, Trump probably colluded with Russia, Trump might get impeached, Trump is a travesty, embarrassment, alienates everyone, horrible, horrible Trump. That's all they see, and that's all that those around them see if they're paying attention to that kind of media. And if you're paying attention, by the way, to many of those polling firms, chances are you're getting your news from affiliates of these different groups. And they use flawed methodology. In the last election, Rasmussen was the second most accurate polling firm, which is different from 2012 when they were one of the least accurate. See, what happened is this. 2012 comes. Rasmussen is assuming higher turnout for the GOP. This election, everybody else other than Rasmussen and YouGov is assuming higher turnout for the Democrats. They're saying Trump is divisive, the Democratic candidate is female, and we expect a lot of younger voters to turn out at very high levels because reasons. So they skewed, what they did was they missampled first. That was the first problem. That took them a few points off of the accuracy. So that gives them 2 or 3 points docked from their accuracy right there. They then take that already missampled group and they skew it further in with their assumptions of turnout among different demographics. There were leaked DNC emails specifically asking certain groups that conduct polling that ends up in the aggregate to deliberately oversample female voters under the general assumption that Trump would do very poorly with them. He actually won among white college-educated female voters. He won among white female voters in general. He also did better among Hispanics. He had, I think, 32%. Mitt Romney got like 27, 28%. And that's Mexican Mitt. He was self-degrading enough to go on, I think it was Telemundo or Univision, one of these groups, and smear himself with orange makeup and say, oh, yeah, I've got Mexican ancestry, which that GOP strategy, it's so patronizing. It doesn't work. You need to give that sort of crap up. It's totally cringy. Trump, meanwhile, comes out and says, yeah, I'm loud and proud. I'm going to build a wall. I don't fucking care. I don't care if you don't like it. By the way, shame on these people for conflating legal Hispanics in this country with illegal immigrants, because that's the only group I'm fucking talking about. You know, I don't want you to have to compete with people that'll work for $3 an hour. That got him a higher voting total. The problem with a lot of these firms is that the results get cherry-picked. They missample them, they then ram their assumptions down the throats of their own numbers, and then a bunch of corporate media groups, I've seen this on Business Insider, I've seen it on Being Liberal, I've seen it on MSNBC, I've seen this on Fox. They look at the polls. They choose a single poll out of the period. They don't even look at the aggregate. They don't even mention the existence of RCP. They take one poll that they happen to agree with the number of and slap it on there as though it was an objective fact. They don't reveal the polling methodology. They don't reveal the sample size often. They don't aggregate it with other polls. They use one polling firm that they happen to be affiliated with, or they use whatever poll bodes most well for whatever their assumption is about Trump's approval. So then, meanwhile, you have some Gallup poll showing him at 38% being trotted out by MSNBC as though it was an objective, die-hard fact that were about his approval rating. But then you've got another firm saying it's 50%, so which is it? Then you have to do what we had to do during the election. We shouldn't have to do this. We should say, we should expect these groups to aggregate the friggin' poll, or at least to aggregate multiple firms, or to stick with one firm that they happen to like and then give a disclaimer and say, yeah, this is one polling firm out of 24. The numbers are all over the place like a shotgun blast, but we happen to take money from this firm, or give money to this firm, or it's run by somebody who plays golf with our CEO, so we're only going to show you this number. By the way, the sample is totally wrong. The demographics are totally skewed. Everything is an assumption, and so here, just fucking swallow it down, you peasant. That's what they need to do. They need to be more honest with people. Look at RCP. The number is different from some of these firms and what they suggest. Rasmussen was accurate. The only other one that was that accurate was YouGov. YouGov was the best, and that's the third cycle it's been the best polling firm. And YouGov is giving him decent numbers, as it did during the election. YouGov was right on the mark. I think they missed it by half a point in some of these states. Half a point. Some of these firms were 10 points off, and yet their polls are still taken seriously. It doesn't make any sense to do that. So Trump coming out and just tweeting whatever poll he feels like, yeah, that works. It works. People will believe it. Why wouldn't they? He's not wrong. He's not making a false claim when he says Rasmussen was accurate. In all honesty, though, over the last couple of cycles, they weren't. In the last one, they did very, very well. Before that, it was hit or miss. What he should do is defer to YouGov. Now, of course, he's cherry-picking, too. He's taking the poll showing him with the highest approval rating from that general batch. How's that different from what CNN or MSNBC do? Why can't he engage in that behavior? Why not? Everybody else is fucking doing it. Nobody apparently knows how to use RCP anyway. There were so many people that were so mesmerized at the handful of individuals who knew what was going on and were accurate in their predictions during the primaries and during the general election, myself included. I looked at RCP. I looked at the polling methodology and I said, well, a lot of these firms don't seem trustworthy to me. I don't think it makes any sense. I think we're under a paradigm shift and that turnout's going to be pretty high among a lot of these groups that they're counting on basically staying home that would largely support Trump. I don't think he's going to perform so poorly with Hispanics or women. I think that's bullcrap. And I was right. It was still an assumption, but it was an educated opinion. When I look at the firms now, it's the same story we had during the election. Everything is improperly sampled. Everything is a bunch of assumptions based on old voting data, or old approval data, or the general reigning feeling that the corporate media has that Trump must be a defenseless screwball who has no fans. That's all I see. That's about all. Peace out.